He drinks and he knows things. But behind the witty comebacks and the goblets of wine lies one of the most brilliant, complex, and tragic characters ever written in fantasy fiction. This is Tyrion Lannister, the dwarf, the imp, the hand, the outsider who became a kingmaker. But how did a man despised by his own family rise to become one of the key architects of Westeros' fate? And why, despite all his victories? Does Tyrion Lannister feel like a man forever haunted by failure? This is his story, unfiltered, brutal, and ultimately unforgettable. Born the third child of Tywin Lannister, the most powerful man in Westeros, Tyrion entered the world under a curse, at least in the eyes of his father. His mother, Joanna Lannister, died giving birth to him. From that moment, Tyrion was doomed to carry guilt for something he never caused. To Tywin, he was not a son. He was a disgrace, a twisted mockery of the Lannister legacy. But even as a child, Tyrion understood one thing. If he couldn't be powerful through strength or stature, he'd wield the greatest weapon of all, his mind. Books became his battlefield, knowledge his armor, and sarcasm his sword. But make no mistake, this wasn't just an underdog story. Tyrion didn't just want respect. He wanted love. And more than that, he wanted to matter. When we first meet Tyrion in the show, he's in a brothel, drunk, confident, sharp-tongued. It would be easy to write him off as comic relief. But as the story unfolds, it becomes clear. Tyrion is watching everything. He sees through masks, he smells corruption, he reads between every line, every lie. He is underestimated at every turn, which makes him dangerous. He listens, he learns, and he manipulates the board like a true player in the Game of Thrones. But for every small victory, Tyrion pays a price. His relationships are poisoned by his last name. He tries to protect Sansa, and the world calls him a monster. He falls in love with a prostitute, Shae, and she betrays him. Even the people he saves rarely thank him. It's in King's Landing, however, where Tyrion shines brightest and falls hardest. When Tywin is off at war, Tyrion is appointed Hand of the King, not out of respect, but out of convenience. And yet, he does the unthinkable. He succeeds. While others play games, Tyrion defends the city. He outsmarts Stannis Baratheon, orchestrates the wildfire explosion, and becomes the true protector of the realm. But his greatest victory is also his most tragic. Tyrion bleeds for King's Landing. He fights in the mud and fire while the nobles hide behind gold. And how is he rewarded? His face is scarred. His power is stripped. His father returns to take credit. His sister plots his murder. Tyrion begins to understand. In this world, doing the right thing often leads to the worst outcomes. Tyrion is accused of killing King Joffrey, a crime he didn't commit. But it's not about the crime. It's about hate, about years of venom and resentment bubbling to the surface. This speech is the soul of Tyrion Lannister laid bare. The pain, the betrayal, the endless fight to prove he is more than a joke, a freak, a beast. And when he is sentenced to die, he finally chooses to become the monster they believe him to be. He kills his father, Tywin, the man who despised him, the man who slept with Shae. It's vengeance, it's justice, and it's the end of everything Tyrion thought he stood for. Tyrion flees Westeros, broken, hunted, alone, but his exile leads him to Daenerys Targaryen, a queen unlike any other. Here, Tyrion finds something he's longed for all his life: purpose. He becomes her advisor, her hand, her voice of reason. But as Daenerys' power grows, so does her thirst for vengeance. And Tyrion? He begins to lose control. His advice fails, his judgment weakens, his hands become stained with mistakes. He trusts the wrong allies. He misreads the enemy. He watches as the woman he believes in burns a city alive. And in the end, Tyrion must confront the hardest truth of all. Sometimes believing in someone is the most dangerous act of all. Tyrion is imprisoned, again, this time by the very queen he helped crown. He has lost everything. His siblings are dead. His queen is a tyrant. His ideals are shattered. But even now, Tyrion does what he does best. He thinks. He talks. He sees the world not as it is, but as it could be. He convinces Jon to kill Daenerys, and in doing so, he ends one cycle of tyranny and unknowingly starts another. When the dust settles, who chooses the next king? Tyrion. Who sets the course of Westeros? Tyrion. And yet, he takes no crown, no glory. He returns to the place he started, not as a hero, not as a villain, but as a man, flawed, wounded, and wise. Tyrion Lannister's legacy isn't carved in stone or sung in ballads. His greatness lies in what he survived. He was the dwarf who navigated a world of giants, the son who defied a dynasty, the advisor who held back madness, the man who kept asking questions, even when the answers tore him apart. Tyrion is proof that you don't need a sword to be powerful. That knowledge is dangerous. That kindness is rebellion. That laughter can be armor. In a world built on blood and thrones, Tyrion stood not as a king, but as a mirror to our own desire for meaning in a world that rarely gives it. And maybe that's why, long after the ashes settle, we still remember him. Not just because he drank and knew things, but because somehow we saw ourselves in the imp who refused to kneel. If you made it this far, you probably love Tyrion just as much as I do. So let me ask you, what do you think Tyrion's greatest moment was? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more character deep dives like this, from Jon Snow to Daenerys, to the tragic genius of Peter Baelish, subscribe, hit that bell, and stay tuned. In the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. But Tyrion Lannister, he lived. Not by the sword, but by outlasting the world that hated him.